Hello and welcome back to yet another episode of RADBMX Builds. Wow, that was a really cheesy opening. Welcome back. I'm glad you guys are here because today we're doing something very special. We're going to be doing a Skyway TA 20-inch. These were extremely limited in the candy, or I don't know what color you want to call this, kind of an electric red over chrome. I don't know the official name, but I went ahead and I wanted to do something a little bit different with this bike, and you're going to see that in the parts. This build's gonna be sick. Absolutely a one of one. Love it or hate it. This is gonna be all red with a little touch of black in it. Some people are saying already, too much red. I don't care, it's my bike. I build it the way I want. You should know that by now. Build yours the way you want it. Oh, it doesn't have Skyway wheels. It's a Skyway bike. I don't care. Did you put Skyways on a Haro? Have you put Skyways on a GT? You see my point, right? So let's just build bikes the way we want to build bikes. You build bikes the way you want to build bikes. But hey, as long as they're rad and you like it, that's all that matters. If you're here for that and you want to see a really custom, one-off Skyway build, make sure you hit that subscribe button because we don't have just one, two, we have 3 custom Skyway builds coming in upcoming videos. This video, you're just getting one, but I'll show you a little taste of what the others look like. Okay, this is the one we're gonna be working on today. This is a very beautiful red over chrome, like an anodized look, Skyway TA. Now this is more of a modern frame. It does have V brakes on it, and it has the 1 1/8 threadless stem and a Euro threaded bottom bracket. So that's a little bit newer than like your typical old school side pull brakes, American bottom bracket, 1-inch threaded fork. But it's gonna be a really sick build. You can see I've added some black grips, a black seat, and then black tires on the red wheels, and that's about it. Everything else, red, red, red. Okay, what else do we got going on? I'm gonna show you a sneak peek for upcoming videos. We have a beautiful blue, which I really like. It might be one of my favorites. And I'll give you a hint, it's gonna be blue and silver. Then we move down to an old school white. Now this one has the 1-inch threaded stem, the American bottom bracket, and the side pull brakes. So you can see a white one and a blue one coming soon, but right now, you're getting the red. So let's go ahead and start the build. I haven't built one of these new school red lines yet, only the old school ones. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we don't come across any hiccups and have to order any parts, because I'd really like to build that bike today and not postpone this video, which you really wouldn't notice, but man, does that drive me crazy. If you've been building bikes as long as I have, almost always have an issue. You almost always come across something, but I'm just really hopeful, I did my research, that it all works out. Let's dive into it. Okay, wow, did I do it big. I put my foot right in my mouth. I said I wasn't gonna have any problems, or hoped that I wouldn't. And immediately right out of the gate, I had one, not just one, I had two. Let's talk about it. The bottom bracket. It's a European threaded bottom bracket, and I don't know why, but you should be able to thread it in with your fingers and then tighten with a wrench. I couldn't get either side to even start with the threads, which was obviously a concern because the threads are very fine and you don't want to strip it. Now, on a bottom bracket, one side is counterclockwise, the other is clockwise. So make sure you know which is which when you're tightening the bottom bracket. The left side, or the non-drive side, is clockwise, the other is counterclockwise. Honestly, I don't know why they do that. It's complicated, but please make sure you know the right direction before starting, because you don't want to cross-thread it. Okay, that was one of my issues. It might have been the anodizing on the bottom bracket. It just had a lot of binding, but then finally started to break loose as I slowly applied a little bit of pressure with the wrench. So make sure you're using grease. Make sure you take your time and don't cross-thread. What other problem did I have? Boy, I don't like how tall the fork is for the headset. And let me show you this. I had to use tons of spacers. I might end up cutting it or just going and buying red matching spacers. Luckily, I got a lot of spacers, but they're odds and ends, so they don't match. And it's a little frustrating when you're trying to build a bike that's all red. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So you can see how I had to use spacers on top and even on bottom, which is not ideal. I do not like that look. Now, let's talk about how tall that fork is. I can show you on the blue one. You can see how much it sticks out, and that's really unnecessary. You know, I'm thinking probably an inch of that can come off, and I'm gonna talk to Planet about that a little bit. I don't have the tools here to cut that, so I have to take it somewhere, which is really a pain and stops the process of this build. Sure, I can build it the way it is, and I can do that later, and I might do that, but I really want to reveal a complete bike when I do these videos. So that's problem number 2, extremely long fork and the bottom bracket. Bottom bracket, not so big of a deal. The other one, I can't fix right here in the shop. A little frustrated by that. Okay, enough of me being PO'd and venting. This is just part of the process. Hopefully the rest of it goes smooth. Let's go ahead and start putting some other parts on this bike. Okay, you ever get in the groove of things? Maybe you're upset and you just start putting your head down and grinding and working through the problems. That's kind of what I did. I don't know what my problem is today, but I ran across problems that we've talked about before, and I didn't record pretty much the majority of the build. I just blared the music, put my head down, grinded it out, so I apologize to you, the viewer. You don't get to see the process of the build. However, we're gonna jump right into the reveal for you, but don't leave, because I'm also gonna pull out the gold Skyway after I reveal the red one, and we're gonna show them side by side. And then we're gonna talk about kind of some of the issues that I ran across with this build in case you wanna do one. Don't get me wrong, it is a rad bike. Just had a few complications, and honestly, that happens with most builds. Maybe it's the heat. I don't know what my issue is. I got through it, the bike's rad, let's check it out. Okay, as promised, let's give an overview, talk to you about some of the things I discovered, some of the things I need, and then you'll know if you buy one of these bikes, what you need to buy when you're going into this build. I kind of found out the hard way. I thought I knew what I needed. I thought I ordered everything, but as always, there's stuff. So let's go ahead and check it out. As we noticed right in the beginning, there are some spacer issues here that need to be addressed. I'm gonna be buying all red spacers. I mean, eventually I'm probably gonna cut the forks because I just don't like that look at all. So yeah, spacers are coming in the meantime until I can find a local guy to cut those down for me. Now down here, you're gonna need to buy those little washers that slip into the holes in the forks because the axle itself, as you tighten it down, wants to keep slipping out of that groove. I think they're like little retention washers. I don't know the exact name for those, but they'll go between the nut and the forks, or the washer and the forks, to hold that axle in place because it wants to keep shifting the wheel left or right when you tighten it down. So that was something else I discovered. A little bonus add-on was this little red piece I added in here. I had this in my little bits and pieces in the build, so that was kind of a fun thing to add. Now the cranks. So we talked about the bottom bracket being a little bit of a pain in the butt, but it's on there and it looks great. So I added, this is a, what do you call it? Chop saw spider, a chop saw chain ring, and these are from Pork Chop. And I went ahead and I put the black chainring bolts on there, kind of because I went the black and red theme. I utilized the original hardware for the Redline cranks because they have a red washer in there, and I think that's a sick look with the black bolts. But on the blue bike, we're doing something different. We're going to talk about that as well. Then we used the Haro Fusion pedals. These are an exact match. I mean, you would think that they're doing the same exact process to match that. It is nuts how good that looks. And then I went old school, seat post clamp and fluted seat post and velo seat. Nothing major there. I did get these all from Pork Chop. Big shout out to Pork Chop, by the way. I got a lot of these parts through them, like the Dicomp MX2 V brakes, which I love. These brakes are some of my favorites. I used an all black chain to kind of go with the theme of the bike. I did get the red Acorn nuts yesterday in the mail. Pretty happy about that. And we went with some Comp 3 all black tires, which are very old school looking. I didn't want the gum walls on this bike. So you can see, those are some of the things that I had a hard time with that I'm still working on, and I'll get it taken care of. If you want to see the bike when it's all done, and there's going to be a photo shoot coming up, you can go ahead and check out the Instagram account as well at RAD_BMX_builds. I think we're getting close to 114,000 followers over there. If you're following me there, thank you so much. If you haven't subscribed here though, I need you to go ahead and do that. Press that button, hit that subscribe, be part of the family. But hey, you want some bonus stuff? Become a member here on YouTube. Doing that's going to unlock all kinds of features for you on my channel. Go ahead and check that out. There are different levels to it. Check it out. I hope to see you over there. All right, man, it's the next day, and I kind of owe you an apology. I basically produced a video of the build of this bike that, in my opinion, just wasn't that great. So today's a new day. The parts I needed came in. They're now on the bike. So without further ado, the all red is called Translucent Over Chrome. It's a powder coat they put over chrome to give it that anodized look. This Skyway TA was limited numbered. I ended up getting one in red and one in blue. The amount of spacers I needed for the headset, I did not have red on hand. Luckily Amazon, I had a one-day delivery. They're here today, I already put them on. No big deal. Now the bike is complete, and now I'm gonna go ahead and add this clip into the video so you can see the fully complete Skyway. Let's check it out, and we're gonna talk about what I did on this build. Okay, let's start right up top with the Mushroom ODI grips, which I absolutely love these if you're building an older style bike. The MX2 die-comp levers, I love these brakes, especially with V brakes because it works really well and the reds look really good. And then I used a red MCS lightning cable, and I even have a red piece in here that goes in and holds it in place nicely. So that MCS cable was a nice touch. The pads are absolutely amazing on this bike, but we're really here to talk about this stem, and that's where I had a lot of complications. So I want to talk about it, show it to you, show you what we did with it. We ended up going with an all black cap. I did put a spacer between the stem and the cap, and then some spacers underneath to make up for all the room. Will we cut the forks? I'm not sure at this point. We may not. I'm just not a huge fan of all the spacers. That's more of a new school thing. I know this is a 1 1/8 threadless fork, but that's just kind of not my jam. I don't think that's very clean looking, whereas other bikes just don't have that. And that's me being transparent with you. The blue bike's gonna be the same, so we're just gonna have to deal with that. A few other trick things I did on this bike is I swapped out the axle nuts with some black ones and washers. Maybe we can see them better on this side. So you can see that I got rid of the chrome ones just because I didn't want a lot of chrome on this bike. So I got some black ones from Pork Chop and put them on there. And I decided to keep the black hardware everywhere that the bike had black hardware. And people ask me like, oh man, where'd you get the bike? The bike came from Planet BMX, and they did put a couple decals on it. There's one there, there's one there, and there's one buried on the forks. So huge shout out to Planet BMX for putting out the bike. They did a great job. It came as a frame and fork set and with bars, but you had to get the cranks separate from them. So I decided to go all in. I got the frame, forks, bars, and the redline cranks that were all to match. That gave me a good head start on what I wanted for parts. And when I talk about the parts, we're talking about how it kind of came. It gives me a good direction in the build. And as an example, I'm gonna give you a sneak peek. The blue bike, as you can see, frame and fork and bars, which I added to the setup. And then you add the cranks. And then the parts just started filling in, like the spider, the chain ring, and then I want to go with some silver accents, pedals, brake levers, stuff like that. And I even got the chrome pad set. Like the red, where I went ahead and I got the black pad set, because you need to have a vision when you're building these bikes, because if you just start buying one here, one part there, and trying to piece it together, sometimes it just doesn't flow very well. So you want to be careful when you're building these builds. Take a lot of time and patience. Yesterday I didn't have that. I don't know if it was the heat. I don't know if I didn't get enough sleep. So I apologize to you for that. But okay, the next bike. I hope you liked that red one. You got to leave a comment if you did. The next bike, is it going to be the blue one or is it going to be the white one? The white one's more of an old school look with 1-inch threaded fork, stuff like that, whereas the new blue one is not. It's just like the red one, but in blue with different parts. So you tell me, what build do you want to see next? Tell me down below, the white one or the blue one, but those are the next two builds up on the block. So make sure you smash that subscribe button. I hope you did enjoy the video. It's kind of all over the place. The next one, I'll have a little more thought out, a little more patience. And thanks again for watching. Grab some merch if you like, and as always, stay rad.